not expecting that at all. They were teary-eyed. So PM had given a message of unity, equality, everything during that time. So as a media person, we're also looking forward to that particular thing, what Prime Minister Modi could do this time, because whenever he visits Maha Kumbh, he gives a special message, especially a positive message from Maha Kumbh, because it's happening after 144 years. So Prime Minister Modi's visit is also very crucial. It's also worth mentioning here that he is coming here after the 3 Amrit Snans. That means number 1, number 2, number 3. The Amrit Snans have passed now, and the rush of devotees is also going a bit down. So PM could have had come before that, during the Moni Amavasya, during the Basant Panchami, or during the Makar Sankranti, but he decided not to come, so that the commoners, the common devotees must not face any problem whatsoever, and that's why PM Modi ensured that he'll be coming here after the 3 Amrit Snan. And the visuals clearly telling the story that PM Modi is reaching to the Arail Ghat, from where he'll be taking the motorboat and will reach at the Triveni to take the holy dip in the sacred water of River Ganga.
Last time when the Prime Minister was there, he spoke of 20 to 22 crore Sanatan Dharma followers taking a dip. This time, we are told Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and the administration are speaking of more than 40 crore by the end, by Mahashivratri on the 26th of February. The figure would be almost double, if not more. And this literal, selab, as they say, of devotion. Anand Neelkanthan, author and columnist, joins us on this broadcast. Shiv Kumar GV also joins us on this broadcast. We've got authors who've written extensively about the Sanatan Dharma, the significance not just of the Maha Kumbh, but Anand Neelkanthan, when I come to you, I want to ask you about the significance when the Prime Minister takes a holy dip at the Prayagraj. While this is something where nobody is a VIP, everyone the same, they take a dip together at the Sangam, but there is a special significance when, as they say in the good old days, Raja Shray, when Dharma gets Raja Shray, the Sanatan Dharma gets to grow even faster, Anand Neelkanthan.
The Kumbh Mela would have seen so many emperors and kings and rulers taking bath over the years, so many dynasties rising and falling. It is as ancient as Rigveda. It is as ancient as Mahabharata, in Brahmavavartana Purana, in Skanda Purana. Everywhere you find the reference of Kumbh Mela and the importance of Prayagraj. So it's a moment where the present government also is acknowledging the ancient spiritual tradition of India, where rivers play a very significant role. Like various paths takes to the same God or same Brahman, same divinity. The rivers, different rivers are taking to the same truth. And Prayag is a place where 3 important rivers have a Sangam. And this significant event, when the Prime Minister himself is coming to take the dip along with other dignitaries, along with other common people of the country, it shows that before the flow of time, before the flow of river, before the greatness of this culture and tradition, everyone is equal and everyone is as significant and as insignificant. It is a part of the whole. And this is what it represents, and it is such a proud moment for all of us that our culture and tradition, we are giving as much importance as it is required instead of just relegating to the background. It's a celebration of Indianness. It is a celebration of our timeless tradition.
And the Prime Minister truly believes in this, Shiv Kumar GV, when you look at the Prime Minister, last time when he was at Prayagraj, not only did he touch and clean the feet of the Safai Karmcharis, who play a very significant role. Imagine if 20-25 crore people were there last time. Had cleanliness not been there, it could have led to many diseases spreading in an area. But they ensured 24/7 cleanliness. The Prime Minister recognized that. And I'm told that the money that he had received, the Prime Minister had received in an international award, he donated close to 1.5 crore or 1.3 crore, if my memory serves me right, to the Namami Ganga project. All of this does indicate that cleaning rivers, which are part of the Sanatan civilization, it's very high on the Prime Minister's agenda and his mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, if you look at any Purana, in the way it describes Bharatavarsha, the description of rivers and parvatas in the land makes an important part of it. So there is this reverence towards rivers is a very integral part of every tradition, every sampradaya, every text, every performance in Bharatavarsha. I think Prime Minister also understands that this reverence flows into the complete Purushartha, Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha, and so every ritual he ensures that the complete spectrum of Purushartha is well represented, and every segment that is contributing towards this Purushartha is also appreciated. Kumbh Mela is one place where the entire civilization comes together and feels itself as one in the midst of all diversities that the very same oneness creates. But I want to draw attention to an important part which Anandji also mentioned, that is the reference to Prayag in Mahabharata. In the Vanaparva, in the 85th chapter, there are shlokas from 68 to 90 that describe the importance of Prayag and Sangama. And in the entire Tirthayatra Parva, this kind of a dedication of 20 plus shlokas to a single Tirtha is there, exclusively for Prayag. In that one shloka signifies the criticality of it. That is, Tatrabhishekam yah kuryat sangame lokavishrute punyam sa phalamatnoti rajashuyascha medha yoha. That is, the snan in Prayag Sangam is equivalent to the performance of both Rajasuya and Ashwamedha. That is the importance that a tradition has accorded to Kumbh Mela. And as you rightly said, Kumbh Mela is nothing without the kind of cleanliness performance that the Safai Karmacharis put together. I'll describe Kumbh Mela in 4 lines.
Yes.
People walking, devotion flowing, rivers meeting, and an extraordinary arrangement, and that also involves the performance of Safai Karmacharis.
And I have seen this. I've seen this on ground very extensively. Kalpvas, of course, is the entire month that Kalpvasi spent there.
Yes.
We were reporting from before the Mauni Amavasya Snan till after the Basant Panchami Snan for about 10 days. And what we saw on ground is actually unbelievable. Of course, sadly, there was a tragedy, and sadly, people lost their lives. People were injured. And we were there watching the tragedy unfold, the rescue operations that were undertaken immediately. And when 10 crore people get to one place, Nandita Pandeyji, one, it shows the strength of Sanatan. Two, it also shows that a lot more needs to be done to ensure that it is flawless. Okay, these are first images that we are getting to you of Prime Minister Narendra Modi reaching the Sangam Prayagraj. He greeted people who were there. Uttar Pradesh Yogi Adityanath walking just a step behind the Prime Minister, and both of them, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, both very strong Sanatanis, both very strong in their faith, in their belief, in their ideology, and that reflects in taking this Maha Kumbh altogether to a new level. And Nandita Pandeyji, this is our country reconnecting to our roots. That is the Uttar Pradesh government boat that is waiting to take Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the Trivedi Sangam from the Arail Ghat. It's a short journey, but all along the ghats you will also see pilgrims. 15 kilometers of ghats have been specially made with sandbags, with cables and wires of nylon to ensure that people are able to take a holy dip without the fear, or because the flow of the Yamuna and the Ganga, especially near Sangam, is quite fast. Nandita Pandeyji, this is all about Rajashray to Dharma.
See, what is Sanatan Dharma? Let us understand that first. It is not a dharma as in religion. We don't consider ourselves as a religious sect. It is the philosophy of life. That means how you should lead your life. That is what Sanatan Dharma is all about. And here, Honorable Prime Minister and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath ji are also reflecting the same when they actually participating in it. Now, when we, as a Sanatan Dharma person, a follower, what we say always is Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramay, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Makshit Dukbha Bhavet. That means that every sentient being in the entire world should be blessed, should be in peace, should be integrated with spiritual enlightenment and blessings and a peaceful way of life. And that is what the prayers are made for every day by a Sanatani. So that beautifully reflects we as a Sanatani integrate the environment along with our spiritual beliefs. It is not that a tree or a river or an animal is different than what we are. All our religious ceremonies that are there like, you know, we would go and do offer prayers to Akshay Vat, for example, in Prayag itself, and where we say that all the three Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh are there. They had done their yajna there, and then they planted this tree that when there will be destruction of the world, this tree would save. And Bal Madhav Mukund, that is the small baby form of Lord Vishnu, resides on the leaves of this tree. And when we do darshan of this tree, that means that then we are expiated of our negative karmas and we move on to further into our spiritual soul path. And what is spiritual soul path? The spiritual soul path itself signifies a way of living where you live peacefully amongst all the chaos and mayhem, and you try to bring that auric energy that you have in you to others who are dissipated, who are not very happy in their own state. So Shanti, 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 that is what we always end up our prayers with. And
So
Shanti means
Sanatan Dharma, as
peace.
you very rightly point out, is our way of life, is our civilizational way of life. And Rajarshi Ranjan Nandi, when we look at the Prime Minister's itinerary from this point on, after taking a dip at Holy Sangam at the Triveni, he will then interact with the Mahamandaleshwars, the Mandaleshwars of the 13 Akhadas and several other saints and seers who are there. That also sends out a very significant message.
Indeed, it is fantastic actually to see the Prime Minister being so open about his faith, and this indeed is the biggest congregation of the Hindu faith. In a way, it's a festival of Hindu unity, if we put it in a very non-religious terminology. It's also interesting that he chooses this specific day among all the days, because today is we are right now in the middle of the Gupta Navratri, where today is the Ashtami Tithi, which is specifically important for Devi Upasana. Whole Navratri is important, but Ashtami is particularly important for Durga Upasana. And we are told, at least from the newspapers, that the Prime Minister himself is a huge devotee of the Divine Mother. So perhaps choosing this day to take a snan and then speak to the Mahamandaleshwars is something he might have planned it in a way so that it accentuates the spiritual environment. So that's fantastic to watch.
Right now, we are watching images of the Prime Minister in that Uttar Pradesh government boat reaching the Triveni Sangam. Of course, he's also going all along the Ghat. So when you go from Arail Ghat, which is on the other side of the Ganga river, on one side are all where the Akhadas are, where all the devotees come, where the Sangam nose is. The Prime Minister is not taking that side because that way devotees would be inconvenienced. He's gone to the other side. And when we talk about the Prime Minister's faith, listen in to what he said in the past.
साथियों, महाकुंभ हजारों वर्ष पहले से चली आ रही हमारे देश की सांस्कृतिक आध्यात्मिक यात्रा का पुण्य और जीवंत प्रतीक है। कुंभ के दौरान संतों के वाद में, संवाद में, सार्थार्थ में शास्त्रार्थ के अंदर देश के सामने मौजूद अहम विषयों पर, देश के सामने मौजूद चुनौतियों पर व्यापक चर्चा होती है और फिर संत जन मिलकर राष्ट्र के विचारों को एक नई ऊर्जा देते थे, नई राह भी दिखाते थे। संत महात्माओं ने देश से जुड़े कई महत्वपूर्ण निर्णय कुंभ जैसे आयोजन स्थल पर ही लिए हैं। जब संचार के आधुनिक माध्यम नहीं थे, तब कुंभ जैसे आयोजनों ने बड़े सामाजिक परिवर्तनों का आधार तैयार किया था। कुंभ में संत और ज्ञानी लोग मिलकर समाज के सुख दुख की चर्चा करते थे, वर्तमान और भविष्य को लेकर चिंतन करते थे। आज भी कुंभ जैसे बड़े आयोजनों का महात्म्य वैसा ही है। ऐसे आयोजनों से देश के कोने कोने में समाज में सकारात्मक संदेश जाता है। कुंभ और धार्मिक यात्राओं का इतना महत्व होने के बावजूद पहले की सरकारों के समय इनके महात्म्य पर ध्यान नहीं दिया गया। श्रद्धालु ऐसे आयोजनों में कष्ट उठाते रहे, लेकिन तब की सरकारों को इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता था। इसकी वजह थी कि भारतीय संस्कृति से, भारत की आस्था से उनका लगाव नहीं था। लेकिन आज केंद्र और राज्य में भारत के प्रति आस्था, भारतीय संस्कृति को मान देने वाली सरकार है। इसलिए कुंभ में आने वाले श्रद्धालुओं के लिए सुविधाएं जुटाना डबल इंजन की सरकार अपना दायित्व समझती है।
So the Prime Minister has in the past spoken of the spiritual significance of the Maha Kumbh and the social significance of the Maha Kumbh. He has of course also spoken of the economic significance of the Maha Kumbh in bringing the Sanatan Dharma followers together. I once again want to cut across to India Today's Samarth Srivastav, who's standing by at the Sangam nose. And Samarth, the Prime Minister is meeting several saints and seers after his holy dip at the Trivedi Sangam. That's again a very significant message, because he says these saints and seers from time immemorial have discussed about what needs to be done, what more needs to be done to improve the condition of people around, social changes that need to be brought in, the current situation, the past situation, and talk about the future. Is that happening now?
See, Gaurav, be it Amit Shah, be it Prime Minister Modi, they do have discussions with Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath many a times, but they don't have these discussions with the Acharya Mahamandaleshwar or Mandaleshwar or Akhada Parishad. So this is the time what be it Amit Shah or PM Modi wants to make most of it. Let them understand that they are with them, or if they have any problem whatsoever, they'll be doing it for them. That's what we saw in the visuals of Amit Shah when he was here. He met a lot of saints here. He spent a lot of time with them. The same will be happening today with PM Modi interacting with saints, with Acharya Mahamandaleshwar, Mandaleshwar, Akhada Parishad Adhyaksh. So that's the sequence which PM Modi has followed since the time he is coming in the Maha Kumbh. Because you can't take the review about the Maha Kumbh from the Chief Minister. They will also, the Chief Minister office will also tell you. But the major thing will come out if you speak to the Mahamandaleshwar, Acharya Mahamandaleshwar. They will let you know about the exact reality of Maha Kumbh. And that's what we saw when Amit Shah came. And that's what we'll be seeing today with PM Modi interacting with a lot of saints to understand if they have any problem, that will be sorted out. If they don't have any problem, they'll praise their efforts, as we saw what happened during the Amit Shah, during the Yogi cabinet when they came in. So that has been the sense of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and that's why some time has also been allotted for him to meet to the saints, seas of the Maha Kumbh, who have been here for over a month now, because we know the Sannyasi Akhadas will be moving to Kashi by 7th of February. So it's just 2 or 3 days left for that. So PM Modi wants to ensure that they had a good time in Maha Kumbh. They took the holiday peacefully. So that has been the sense why PM Modi will be interacting with the saints, with the Mandaleshwar, Mahamandaleshwar, Acharya Mahamandaleshwar. And clearly, what we saw during the Amit Shah visit, the saints were looking quite happy and satisfied with the Maha Kumbh, because efforts were made by the government to ensure that they must not face any problem. So that has
And it's really spread out this time. It's spread over 4,000 hectares, if I remember correctly, 4,000 hectares of land, and on either side of the Ganga river. It's really spread out this time. Sadly, Anand Nilkanthan, there was a stampede, and according to the Uttar Pradesh government, 30 devotees lost their lives. 26 have been identified. There are several who are still missing. But Anand Nilkanthan, the importance of the Akhadas. The Prime Minister would be meeting the Acharya Mahamandaleshwars, the Mandaleshwars, Mahamandaleshwars. He'll be meeting saints and seers who are assembling here. Why is that so important, especially when the Prime Minister also talks about how the Akhadas and saints and seers discuss the current situation in society and what it should be?
It's a great thing that Prime Minister is interacting with various Akhadas, because they come from different parts of the country, and they will be having a lot of devotees will be coming to them, and people open up to many of these saints, so they will be knowing a lot of problems of the common people. So Prime Minister can directly interact with these saints and understand some of the problems of the common people. Also, from time immemorial, when the rulers used to come, these kind of great tirthas, where people from all parts of the country assembled. This is also a great chance for the rulers to interact with the common people, not just the saints, because common people's problems directly he can interact. I hope he does that too, along with meeting the various Akhadas and all the saints. These kind of tirthas were used earlier. These kind of Sangams and Kumbh Melas were used by the rulers. They were designed so that common people can interact with the rulers. So I hope the Prime Minister also takes that opportunity to meet a lot of common people apart from the Akhadas, especially the people who had lost their dear ones in the tragedy. I hope he will meet all of them and sort out the issue.
Live images of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. And look at the number of devotees on either side of the holy river Ganga. This is that magnificent view. River Ganga constantly being cleaned. There are machines that are deployed. There are people who are deployed. They're constantly cleaning the river as crores and crores take this holy dip of faith. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath explaining the efforts. 15 kilometers of ghats have been created on either side of Ganga and Yamuna, all along the Triveni. The effort also being made constantly to explain to the devotees who come there that it's not just the Sangam of Ganga, Yamuna and Ma Saraswati, but all across the ghats, over several, in Hindi of course the terminology is kos, 5 kos tak. It's the same Amrit Snan. It's not restricted just to the Sangam nose or the Trivedi. And Shiv Kumar GV, that's a very significant message that the effort is to send out. Perhaps they could not say it effectively enough, which unfortunately led to that stampede.
Yes, I think Prime Minister's presence here sends a significant message that the administration and leadership at all levels are cognizant of the situation, cognizant of the tragedy, and that they've taken it very seriously. And of course, there is a sense of penance as well associated with it.
You're right, you're right. And just look at the number of devotees who are there. This is not one of those Amrit Snans. The Amrit Snans are all over. The Prime Minister waited because the Moni Amavasya Snan sees the maximum number of devotees. And the Prime Minister now taking his boat closer so that he can look at the devotees can, who are here. Devotees who've come to take a dip in Ma Ganga, Ma Yamuna and Ma Saraswati, they're able to see, as the Prime Minister himself puts it, their Pradhan Sevak. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath with there. So this is the boat actually taking a detour closer to the Ghats. So the Prime Minister can also see the arrangements that have been made. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has done this several times. Union Home Minister Amit Shah, when he was there at the Trivedi Sangam, his boat too went closer to the Ghats so that they can see the special areas that have been created and Samarth all along, whether it's River Ganga or River Yamuna. 15 kilometers of special ghats with sandbags and barriers, and those plastic barriers have been created so that nobody, the flow of the river, especially near Sangam, is quite swift, Samarth.
Gaurav, if you see the visuals even, the place where the Prime Minister Modi and CM Yogi are in a way moving around, they wants to, the devotees to let them see that the PM of India is there to see the preparations of Maha Kumbh. He is there to see the problems if they have any. He is here to take the whole trip even, and that's what we see in the visuals, how that jetty is revolving. This boat is revolving around the place where a lakhs crores of devotees are taking the holy dip in the side where Sangam is. So that's the message, and clearly PM Modi could also be seen waving his hands to those particular devotees who have come here from distances, from kilometers, from states, from countries, because a lot of foreigners are also here. So that has been the thing of PM Modi. Whenever he is here, he just tries to connect to the public, and the way he's in a way asking CM Yogi about the preparations, about the intensity, about the way where the Sangam exactly is. So CM Yogi is also explaining PM Modi about the preparations being done by his government during this particular phase. So that has been the sense which is coming out from the visuals, where CM Yogi is interacting with PM Modi and PM Modi is asking him some questions, and CM Yogi replying him while showing his hands towards that particular river where the Triveni is. The three holy rivers, Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati, all coming together to compile it into a sacred Triveni. And that's why you can see how PM Modi and CM Yogi are currently interacting. And in a short while, Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, will also be taking the holy dip in the Triveni, where he'll also be meeting a lot of saints, Mahamandaleshwar, Acharya Mahamandaleshwar, and will be, in a way, speaking to them about the entire experience of Maha Kumbh. Back to you.
The crores of devotees who've come there, and you have to be there to believe the number of people who've come. I interacted with several foreign diplomats, Anand Nilkanthanji, when they came over, 110 odd diplomats were there from many countries, and the ambassador of Slovenia, for example, she told me the population of her country was 20 lakhs, and she could not believe her eyes when she saw crores in one place. How is it that we are able to get the Sanatan Dharma followers from across the length and breadth of our country to reach there? What is it in their mind that brings these devotees here, Anandji?
Basically, rivers and tirthas have always formed the spine of our ritualistic religious practice all throughout. So in Mahabharata itself, you find the references of so many tirthas where Balrama goes around, and Prayagraj is one of them. So rivers has always been a symbol of life itself. So the idea of taking bath in a river, you are thinking that the life just flows on, the time just flows on. River is a symbol of time, and people come there. The dip you take, that infinitely small amount of time is the life you are leading. The river is eternal, it keeps flowing, it goes to the ocean, and from the ocean it again evaporates, becomes the rain, and again it becomes the river. The cycle of life continues again and again. And when you go to the tirtha and take a dip, you are reminded of your own humility, your own humbleness. You are just a drop in the great ocean of life. That is what it signifies. And to teach this, these kind of things were designed in our religion from time immemorial, and people have traveled across the country, all the tirthas. There are thousands of tirthas, of which Prayagraj is considered as the king of tirthas. People come here, especially during Kumbh, or also on the other times also. But
Yes.
Magha Kumbh,
Mag-
at this time, Maha Kumbh, this is the time when they talk about taking one dip is equivalent to hundreds of Ashwamedas, thousands of Vajpayas, all kind of ritual sacrifices. They are nothing before taking a dip in the all humility that I am just a drop in the ocean of the great time. That is the significance of it.
And
And
it
this
does
is
teach you
how
that, Shiv Kumar ji, it does teach you how humble, this is a truly a humbling experience when you get to Prayagraj and you see not thousands, not lakhs, literally crores. They're just walking in one direction very peacefully, very calm, holding their luggage on their heads, little children bringing them along. It's like taking your Sanatan Dharma from one generation and passing on that baton to the next generation. That's what's happening here.
Guruji, you stole my words. That's exactly what I wanted to say. In fact, spending 3 days in Prayag during Kumbh Mela kind of teaches you so much more about Bharatavarsha and Sanatana Dharma that many months of textual studies cannot teach you. Because you will see such diversity, that the ability of Sanatana Dharma to create such diversity without conflict and bringing all of them together, without even an administrative summoning, just the sheer sacred consciousness brings all of them. And that reverence for the river, the metaphor of Srishti Sthiti Laya that it represents, the eternity of life, the experience of the eternity in the midst of enormous diversity, definitely humbles people, and people look forward to having this experience. The greatness of Kumbh Mela is that there is so much joy in dissolving yourselves into
Yes.
a mass of people. You don't want to press your individuality, rather the loss of individuality, merging into infinity, looking at everybody. There is so much more joy, and this is the reason why Bharatavarsha has a joy spectrum that is beyond material. There
That's
is no
interesting you
joy.
point this out. Very interesting you point this out because Nandita Pandey ji, जब मैं था तो हरि नहीं, अब हरि है तो मैं नाही. So that मैं, the ahankar in you, the ahem in you is completely dissolved at the Trivedi Sangam.
Yes, it is so beautifully explained. You know, every shloka that we have or anything that we have actually tells that how the divinity in us bows down to the divinity in others and also bows down to the divinity that every sentient being has. It is just not human being. It's not that ego. That's it. If we surpass that ego aspect. And today is a very auspicious day, like it was mentioned that it is Gupta Navratri. But not only this, today is Bhishma Ashtami also. When we go in Kumbh, we also do tarpan for our ancestors.
Yes.
Now, whenever a tarpan is done, the first tarpan, the first name is uttered for is Bhishma Pitama. Because until or unless you do tarpan for him, any tarpan is all nullified. So, Honorable Prime Minister probably knows about these rituals, and today when he goes and he takes a dip and he does that tarpan, I'm sure he's going to do tarpan for all the devotees who had come and had that unfortunate incident, met up with that unfortunate incident. Also about the soldiers who are there, who've been fighting and protecting us. This is a process where even the sand in the banks of the river are taken into taken back home, because it is generally signified that any saint who is walking on it, any ascetic who's walking on it, the Naga sadhus who are walking on it, they have that empowered energy in them, and when they walk on that sand, that sand molecules also imbibe their energy. So everybody takes that little sand along with them back home. It is the level of faith that they have on the connection with, it's like Jat Pinde Tat Brahmande. So where your microcosm, the entire macrocosm exists. So it is like so beautifully integrated with the cosmic world. It's not just that. And Kumbh is just not this. Kumbh is about astrological events. It
Yes.
is when Jupiter, especially in Prayag, when Jupiter is in Taurus and Sun is in Capricorn, then Kumbh falls. And Jupiter takes almost 1 year to transit from one zodiac to the other zodiac. So if you calculate from this Taurus to the next Taurus, it will take around 12 years to complete. So that
Yes.
happens. When we have it in Haridwar, then the Jupiter is in Aquarius and Sun is exalted. It is in Aries. And then when we have it in Nasik or we have it in Ujjain, Jupiter is in Leo. In Ujjain, Jupiter is in, the Sun
Scorpio.
is exalted. Yeah.
Yes.
And in Nasik, when we have it, the Sun is also conjuncting Jupiter, and they both are in Leo signs. So there is a very astrological significance on how planets are also projecting their energies
And
at their
how it's reflected,
yeah.
Rajarshi Ranjan Nandi, that they say, and several saints and seers I spoke to, some of the Acharya Mahamandaleshwars of various Akhadas I spoke to, they said, Nadi mein wo urja aa jati hai. When the stars and the planets are aligned, the river has that energy is then passed on to your body, mind and spirit. That's the way it moves forward, and that is why a snan here during the Maha Kumbh becomes so significant. And is the newer generation learning this, Rajarshi Ranjan Nandi?
Yes, absolutely. I think, in fact, the basics of the reason why Dharma remains Sanatan eternal is because things that were practiced earlier can still be practiced and still experienced depending on the individual. So, an event like this, the confluence of the three rivers, the specific area that this astronomical combination, etc., makes it very potent for anybody, whatever practice they may be doing at home, coming there into that specific place, taking few dips there, doing the same mantras, it kind of accelerates the practice to a tremendously new level. So once they go back, they feel that it's like a rebirth of their spiritual journey. This is precisely the reason, and also because we are in a technological age where things are more open and we can see, and all these great saints and the akharas and the swamis and everybody coming together. So it's not just the people who are there, even those who cannot go, they are also mentally connected to this whole event, and that makes a very strong collective willpower of spirituality that happens at this is happening at this point. And I think it's wonderful to see the Prime Minister. It's wonderful for everybody who has been there, has been able to take a dip. It is going to cause a absolutely recharge one's spiritual practice, whatever it is, whichever deity he may be worshipping, whatever the path, Vedic, Tantric, does not matter. This is
And
indeed like a
Samarth, that's so interesting. You should point that out, Ranjan Nandiji, because I want to bring Samarth Srivastav into this. Samarth, we saw this on ground. Samarth Srivastav and I, in fact, our entire team at India Today that was there at Prayagraj, we saw this. Everybody is praying to a different god there. There are the Shaiv Akhadas, there are the Bairagi or the Vaishnav Akhadas, there are the Udasin Akhadas, and there is the Nirmal Akhada. So, you know, the Sikhi, we heard Shabads there, we heard Gurbani there, we heard so many different kinds of prayers, and it was all so soothing. One melting pot there of Sanatan. Samarth.
Well, Gaurav, exactly. All these akhadas come up as the strongest force of Sanatan, and of those forces, as we interacted with a lot of Naga sadhus, Naga sannyasis, they are the biggest protectors of Sanatan Dharma. Even I had an interview one Nagas and asked them about their movement after this particular Maha Kumbh. They clearly said that they are there for the protection of Sanatan Dharma. They are being trained with all the weapons, including the trishul, the sword, everything. And post 7th of February, they'll be going to Kashi, where they'll be celebrating the Masana Holi, and also will have Shivratri right over there. So as you just mentioned, a lot of Akhada, Nirmohi Akhada, Juna Akhada, Niranjani Akhada, all of them have their different beliefs, just like Niranjani Akhada have their Ishtadev, Lord Kartikeya, son of Lord Shiva. They
Yes.
praise him, and whenever they move to one location, they in a way construct a small makeshift temple of Lord Kartikeya right there. So that has been the beliefs of several akhadas. This was the belief of Niranjani Akhada, Juna Akhada have their different belief. So, but all together comes up as the protector of Sanatan Dharma, and that's why you see the Maha Kumbh is the place which happens either after Kumbh after 5 years, Maha Kumbh after 13 years, and this Purna Maha Kumbh happening after 144 years. So how can a single Akhada could miss this opportunity? And that's why all have come together. And when Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi is here, then you can understand when these Akhada Mahamandaleshwar, Acharya Mahamandaleshwar will be meeting PM Modi, even Prime Minister of India will be very happy to interact with them personally. They might have visited him in the Delhi office, but reaching out at this place, this sacred place of Sanatan Dharma, Mahakumbh, Divya Mahakumbh, and meeting the Akhada Mahamandaleshwar, Acharya Mahamandaleshwar, it will also be a grateful day, not just for the people of Akhada, but also for Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, who
And there are
continuously
two
is taking
ways
the
of
country
looking at,
forward in the right
this.
direction.
One, this is great for Sanatan Dharma. Two, Anand Nilkanthanji, this is great not just for the society coming together. No distinction whether you're a Kshatriya or a Brahman or a Vaishya or any other caste, whatever is your creed, whatever is the sect that you follow, whether you're a Shaiv or a Vaishnav or an Udasin or a Nirmal Akhada follower, it doesn't matter who you are. You're all taking a dip at the same Sangam, and it's great for the economy, not just of Prayagraj or Uttar Pradesh, but people are coming from across the length and breadth of our country. So there's so much money that's circulating in the system. Anand Nilkanthanji.
We have always worshipped Lakshmi, Kubera. We have never shunned wealth. Wealth is one of the most important aspect of life in Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. We celebrate both Artha and Kama. We celebrate passion, we celebrate wealth. And all the temples are also the places of economic activity, great economic activity. Take the case of Tirupati, take the temples like Puri, Sabrimala, Guruvayur, Dwaraka. Everything generates a lot of employment. Perhaps more than many of the business establishments, they generate a lot of employment, they generate a lot of business. And when it comes to Kumbh, where all sects, because temples are specifically for certain sects, like Vaishnava temples, basically, though everyone will go there, it's basically a Vaishnavite devotional center.
Yes.
Shaiva temples are for Shaiva people, but in a Tirth, in Prayagraj, all the sects, all the darshanas, they all come there, and that is why it is called the king of all festivals. This Maha Kumbh Mela, especially that happens in 144 years, it is such a great celebration, and the kind of economy perhaps it generates more GDP than many countries, most countries in the world. This simple, this 45 days of this great celebration of our ancient culture, it generates so much, perhaps almost 1%, 1 to 2% increase in our total GDP, perhaps because of this. That is the economic power of this kind of celebrations.
And
Imagine
that is
how many
why,
people will be getting.
yes, and that is why, Shiv Kumar ji, it is for the state to encourage this. It's not just encouraging dharma, it's actually encouraging Artha at the same time. It's encouraging social bonding at the same time. So it works to the advantage of the country in more ways than one.
Absolutely, absolutely, Garuji. Once again, you spoke my words. The civilizational emphasis of Bharatavarsha is Purushartha, Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha. All of them have their place, and all of them are interrelated. You cannot pursue only Dharma Moksha and then say that Artha is insignificant. And the beauty of Sanatana Dharma is they are not compartmentalized. In every single space, in every single context, Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha have to be invoked in the right proportion. And the greatness of Kumbh Mela is it is not just Artha, Kama, Dharma of Prayag or Uttar Pradesh, it is that of the entire civilization. Naturally, it has to have that scale. And the interesting thing is that there is not just the scale of mass, there is scale of diversity too. And all of that adds to the Artha. Artha builds confidence. Bhishma clearly says Without Artha, a Kshatriya cannot protect Dharma. So Artha is extremely, Bala and Artha are extremely important.
Yes.
So in the light of it, for the state, the Trivarga is extremely important. That is Dharmartha Kama, because only then it can protect the Chaturvidha Purushartha of the civilization and the society. And these things were crystal clear to our ancients, to all our kings. We've only had a small duration of a loss of path, and we are restoring ourselves. And as I said, Prayag is the kshetra of yajna, of multiple yajnas, of both Rajasuya and Ashwamedha. So both of which were the largest yajnas for Dharmartha Kama Moksha.
For
So
a moment, I
Prime Minister
want
is
to stay on
conscious-
this aspect that you've also raised about the earth or the financial implications. You've mentioned how from time immemorial in the Sanatan civilization, dharma, earth, kam and moksha, they all go hand in hand for a complete life for a human being. Now, when you talk about earth and dharma, remember Maharana Pratap, Nandita Pandeyji, we've seen this in our history. Maharana Pratap required money to fight the Mughals, and it was Bhama Shah who got that money to him to continue that battle. And even today, when we say we want to take on expansionist powers for India to become the third largest economy from the fifth largest economy, we will need a lot more contribution to ensure that we're able to take on expansionist forces. So earth is very important for dharma to grow and for the civilizational state to remain strong.
Explain, like, when we take sankalp also of any puja that we do. So what we do is in our palms, we put one coin, a rice grain, supari. So the coin is actually significant of Artha. It's like dharma, Artha, Kam, Moksha all in my hand, and I'm now taking that sankalp to do the puja for whichever deity that I'm going to do. So it is a beautiful, it's again an integration in the entire Sanatan system. When we also do, we take the holy dip and then we come out. The most important thing after that that is done is first the puja that you can do on the banks of the river, and then charity, donation. So where are you donating? You're donating to people who probably need them. So somebody who is in need, you go and donate to them. It is not that you go and donate it to somebody affluent or somewhere like, you might get something in return. So donation is like bringing everybody all together upwards in the same level where, that Artha aspect. Because see, unless you're financially comfortable, roti, kapla or makan,
Yes.
so the basic needs, so until by the time you have to reach the super actualization state, you cannot reach that state unless you are at the bottom of the pyramid and you fulfill that. And Sanatan Dharma understands this. That's the reason we have Balavastha, the Grahastha ashram, and then the Vridashram, and then last is your Sannyas ashram. So it's a progression of a person also as a human form, like where dharma is important, you have to do dharma. Your dharma is to protect your family. You have dharma is to also look after your children, apart from also bringing and creating that peaceful environment in your society. And the earth is actually working towards financial abundance so that the people that you are taking care of, like, in your home, you are the Raja, and the rest is your, family is again integrated in your system. It's the society, how the Sanatan Dharma works. And then after you fulfill these duties, and then you go into the basic calm is also there, and then the moksha part, which is like after the one prastha, and then you move forward into that stage. So it's like a beautiful progression from where you can start and where you have to end, and then eventually once you
Okay, the news just coming in. Prime Minister Narendra Modi takes a holy dip at the Trivedi Sangam. The Prime Minister, he's done that in the past, and these are the latest images that you get from the Sangam Ghat of Prime Minister Narendra Modi taking a dip and praying. He has a Rudraksh mala in his hand. And this is Tarpan, where you offer water. And I want Rajarshi Ranjan Nandi to explain these images to our viewers. Offering holy water, water of the Trivedi Sangam to the Pitars, to our ancestors, to Bhishma Pitama, to Surya Narayan, and to our ancestors. Rajarshi Ranjan Nandi, the significance of what the Prime Minister is doing, including the parikrama.
Yeah, so it is basically, as I was saying, the one of the most important things to come in the Sangam after taking bath is to perform the same mantras of the deities that you worship even at home and other places, and then offering tarpanam, at least three minimum tarpanams, one to the rishis, one to the pitrus, and one to all the deities who are present in that kshetra. So he is doing that, and not only that, for any upasaka, it's important to perform tarpanam also of the deity to whom he is worshipping, because it is believed that in that confluence, every single devata that we worship also comes to take a dip. Their astral energies are present. So in that condition, in that environment, when somebody is taking a dip as well as chanting those mantras, and as I mentioned, it's significant to see the Prime Minister wearing red, because red is indeed the color that is most usually worn while doing Devi Upasana. And we are in the middle of the Gupta Navratri, and this is an Ashtami Tithi, which is the peak of the Navratri, when actually the energy of Goddess Durga is most prominently present. And being a Gupta Navratri, this is the Navratri that is most significant for Upasakas more than the masses. But these days, all the four Navratris have become popular and important, which is good for the Sanatanis and for devotees. And the parikrama he's doing is a way of actually you are circumambulating the whole. It's not possible for somebody to do a parikrama of the whole river, but you are doing a parikrama of the self that stands inside, which is primarily the center point of all the devotion and all the deities. So you are in a way doing a parikrama of the whole universe when you're trying to do a parikrama standing in the river after taking a dip. So this clearly the Prime Minister is well aware of. Unlike many people, he is aware that what rituals are to be done and what deities are to be worshipped. And as I mentioned, that perhaps it was not a coincidence that he chose this specific day. It also helps that it is not one of the Shahi Snan days, yet it
Yes.
fulfills spiritual necessities that he might have as an individual and as the leader of the country.
Anand Nilkanthanji, the flow of the water is very swift, exactly at the Trivedi and where the Ganga and the Yamuna and Ma Saraswati where they meet, and that's why the Prime Minister is holding on to that rope as he takes a dip in that icy cold water. It's very, very cold. I'd taken a dip here just a couple of days back. It's rejuvenating, no doubt, but it's extremely, extremely cold. The Prime Minister in full devotion taking that dip. Now, can you explain? Last time he was wearing black, this time he's wearing red, closer to saffron.
Basically, it is as they had mentioned, he's a Upasaka of Devi, and red signifies the color of Devi. Especially on today, it is very significant. I think he knows about it and he has been advised about it by his gurus, and that's why he's doing it. Basically, this is a moment where in your sankalpa or in your imagination, you understand that you are just, as I explained earlier, you are just one drop in the whole universe of time. The river signifies time. The Yamuna is also called Kalindi. It is the significance of time. Ganga is of Shiva and Saraswati is of knowledge. That's why it's the Trivedi Sangam. In this place, he is standing here and he is giving offerings to every creature, every living and non-living things in the world. And that is why he is doing the parikrama. He is circumambulating the entire universe, thinking that I am the part of the universe, I am the universe, and I and whatever is around, there is no difference between I and anything. I am the whole. That is the fundamental meaning of the Tarpana, what he is doing. And we can see that it is he is reiterating a tradition which spans at least 5,000 to 6,000 years, or perhaps more than that. So it is such a wonderful sight to see. He, being the Prime Minister of the country, yet one among 40 or 50 crore people, there is no Bhed Bhav, there is nothing. Prime Ministers or kings and dynasties will come and go. He understands that significance. It is a moment of humility also. There is no difference between he or anyone standing there, or the entire people who have come there, or even every creature in a microcosm in the Ganga water. There is no difference between that. It's the ultimate Advaita what we are talking about here.
And Ma Ganga signifies our civilizational, our civilization. It's a civilizational river all along from Gomukh to Ganga Sagar. The Prime Minister knows this, and Samarth, that is why a lot of emphasis was laid on cleaning the Ganga river. Right now also constantly efforts are on as crores and crores of devotees take a dip, as the Prime Minister takes a dip. Cleaning of river Ganga, the Namami Gange Pariyojana, or the mission Namami Gange, has been on top of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's agenda.
Well, exactly, Gaurav. Not just in Prayagraj, but also in Varanasi, we see the Namami Gange project is happening, and that's why efforts are being made to ensure that the river Ganga must be cleaned completely. Though they tried their best and made the water at least enough to take the holy dip around the Sangam, around the Triveni, as also we saw the visuals when UP CM Yogi Adityanath did the Yachaman, which we say he also drank that particular water of Triveni just to ensure the public that the water is safe for the holy dip. Also, you saw UP Deputy CM Keshav Prasad Maurya doing the same, and now what we see is PM Modi taking the holy dip in the river Ganga. Also, it's the Triveni where the three rivers Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati comes all together. Though he came 5 years back also in the Kumbh that happened in 2019, where we saw him taking the holy dip, and now again he's taking that particular dip. Also, a message is also being given by PM Modi that he decided to come after the 3 Amrit Snan so that the public must not suffer. And when he's coming, he's interacting in a way, he's waving hands at the public, at the devotees who have come in lakhs to take the holy dip and make this moment unforgettable for the lifetime. So that's been the message from PM Modi, and that's why we see how he's taking the holy dip. Though also politics also ensued in Parliament yesterday about PM Modi's visit, but as far as current visit is concerned, we see the smiling faces all around the Prayagraj, all around the Maha Kumbh. The devotees who are getting a chance to get a glimpse of PM Modi, they are quite happy. Obviously, they have got their day going well. A very good start to the day. So it's around 11:30 now, and after taking this particular holy dip, PM Modi will be interacting with a lot of saints, Mahamandaleshwar, Acharya Mahamandaleshwar, and later on he'll again move to the Arail Ghat. And from there, a chopper will go on to that particular academy in the school, from where the Air Force via Air Force Viman, he will be moving back to Delhi. Back to you.
Interesting, you should point this out. And as we look at these images of the Prime Minister's puja, archana and tarpan, the offering of water to ancestors, to the holy gods and goddesses who are there, koti gods and goddesses, as they say here at the Sangam at this point of time. I want to bring in Shiv Kumar GVG to understand a little more about the Namami Gange mission. It's a mission to clean Bharat's civilizational river, and shouldn't just be restricted just to Ganga. In Delhi, everyone's talking about the Yamuna and the pollution in Yamuna, the politics around it. But I want to draw your attention to what Prime Minister Narendra Modi had said in 2019. 32 nalas in Prayagraj and around were flowing into the Ganga, our civilizational river. And you had sewage water that was flowing into it. 32 of those nalas were closed, and water treatment plants were put in place, as the Prime Minister said, by his government. But it just goes on to show how we had forgotten or stopped giving respect to our heritage, to our civilizational heritage. Shiv Kumar ji.
Yes, Gauravji, that's an important dimension that I wanted to raise. Early in the 20th century, Madan Mohan Malviya is supposed to have objected to the British letting the sewage flow into the river Ganga. At that time, the Ganga was still very wonderful, very clean. Now, we all know that in the 20th century, in the material pursuit and in the urbanization that lacked a vision, we have let every single river in Bharatavarsha suffer. In many ways, the suffering of the nation, the fall of the nation, was a function of how badly we ended up, treating our rivers, which are our mothers, which is what is there in every scripture. So, in many ways, this Kumbh Mela and the presence of Prime Minister Modi ji and the focus paid by the administration is a message to the larger civilization that it is not just the responsibility of the administration and the state, but it is the most critical responsibility of the society, every individual, every community, every city to bear this in their consciousness and ensure that we don't pollute our rivers. This obviously requires a new vision of urbanization, a new vision of industry, but without sacrifices, without tyaga, this is not going to happen. Without yajna,
Yes.
dana, and tyaga, this is not going to happen. If we want to pursue a perspective of life that is anchored on the material, we will let the rivers suffer. We will have to take a step back and reimagine the way we are living our material lives, and then where at the center of which should be every single river should be clean. If we take that vow, then even the reimagination of the civilization will also happen. But in pursuit of material, if we are letting rivers suffer like this, then it will have consequences on every pursuit we have. So
Because right now,
this
when
is
we
an
talk about
important
politics
metaphor.
of cleaning the rivers, when we talk about how polluted Yamuna is, and again, it's Ma Yamuna. But Ma Yamuna remains so polluted. And in Delhi, which is seeing elections today, there is ugly politics about the pollution in Yamuna, the poisoning in Yamuna, the barbs that are being exchanged between the Aam Aadmi Party and the Bharatiya Janata Party. It's just so sad because Ma Yamuna again is part of that same civilization, the civilizational river Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati that meet at the Triveni at Prayagraj. Nandita Pandeji, that just goes on to show how cut off some of us are becoming from our roots and how difficult this journey to reconnecting to our roots is.
Question that we all should actually invoke today at this these occasion of this Maha Kumbh Mela. Each Sanatani and every person in India should actually think about it. And as a Sanatani, whenever I take a dip, or even at home, if I have to actually accumulate the powers of these rivers, I actually chant a mantra, which a Sanatani does. Gange cha Yamune chaiv Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jale Asminam Sannidham Kuru. That means, may I get the power of these rivers. Ganga is all about purity. When you take a dip in Ganga, and this confluence here is actually signifying that when Honorable Prime Minister is taking a dip, Ganga is about purity. All your sins are purified.
Yes.
Yamuna is about devotion. When you're talking about Yamuna, it's about devotion. Devotion to the divinity, devotion to the humankind, devotion to the, your good aspects of life and the philosophy life. And Saraswati ji, again, is signifying knowledge. So it's a confluence of knowledge, devotion, and also purity. So that when we take a dip in this Mahakumbh, we also should take a pledge in ourselves to focus on these aspects and to ensure that when we are close to these rivers, we should not throw unnecessary things. We should take that initiative in person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I
No
remember
plastics in our rivers. That has to start
absolutely
from us.
different.
It has
Yeah,
to start from our
every
political
individual should
leaders
take
at
this
a different
oath
level.
of not doing it.
Yes, you cannot just talk about cleaning the Yamuna river and saying we'll make it good enough to drink and not do anything about it, because these are Bharat's civilizational rivers. And Samarth, you and I were reporting in 2019 where the Namami Gange was made into a major mission, when the Prime Minister also spoke in Prayagraj when he said, for Namami Gange, even I have made a small contribution. If I remember correctly, it was the sole peace prize that he'd been awarded, close to 1 crore 30 lakhs, that he donated that entire amount to the Namami Gange mission. That is what is required. A lot of effort to clean the rivers, to ensure sewage water does not flow into the rivers. There are water treatment plants at the government level and at the level of the people. We all need to do our bit for our civilizational rivers from Sindhu to Kaveri all across.
Well, exactly, Gaurav. As we know that PM Modi announced that around 5 years back when he gave that particular amount for the cleanliness drive of Ganga under the Namami Gange project. So he has been very much connected to the Ganga, River Ganga, Ma Ganga, because it's not just in India. We don't just call it Ganga, Yamuna or Saraswati. These are the goddess for us in the Hindu Dharma. Ma Ganga, Ma Saraswati and Ma Yamuna, and that has been the sense, the essence of purity, the essence of Sanatan Dharma around the thinking of Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi, and that's why he considers it, and that's why after in 2014 when Prime Minister Modi became the president, amongst his top priorities it was also about the cleanliness of Ganga. Also when he became the member of parliament from Varanasi, he started focusing on how to clean river Ganga, because we saw how polluted Ganga was, though it's not completely clean by now, but yes, efforts are being made under the project, and we can assume, we can expect it to be completely cleaned in the next 5 to 10 years. So it's a lot depends on the project managers or whatever who are seeking this particular case. But Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi is very much watchful about this particular project, about this particular thing, to ensure that the water of river Ganga must be cleaned for the devotees, because it's not just a river, it's the devotion, it's the sacrifice, it's the essence of spirituality which in a way rises in India. We spoke to various Russians, people from Italy, Colombo. They all clearly were in a very watchful about the flow of people towards Sangam. As if a cameraman could show some visuals out here, then you can clearly understand this is the area which goes to the Sangam, and they all are moving towards Sangam for the holy dip. Many have also collected the holy water in their water bottles as well, and you can see they might have to travel along 5 to 8 kilometers, but that really doesn't matter. See, even the women out here are carrying some heavy bags on their heads, but that's the Sanatan Dharma. That's the beauty of Sanatan, that they don't have any pain, and they are just moving. They have got bottles in their bags to ensure that they must carry the holy water of Triveni with them to their households, to their homes, and also in a way give some water to their neighbors and the relatives as well. So that has been the strength of Sanatan Dharma. That is the power of Sanatan Dharma. And when PM Modi comes here, this thing increases, and the vibration we see around the devotees is quite high, very high. Back to you.
The vibration amongst devotees. Dr. Arun Krishnan joins us on this broadcast, author and seeker. Dr. Krishnan, it's all about the vibrations of Prayagraj during this period of the Maha Kumbh. And when you look at the devotees who are there in large numbers, we saw crores during Mauni Amavasya, during the Basant Panchami Snan, but even now, all the Amrit Snans are over, but during this Gupta Navratri and Ma Durga's Puja, when the Prime Minister takes a dip, there are crores who are watching on either side of the Ganga and Yamuna. What do you make of these images?
Look, thank you, Gaurav, for having me on. Look, the Kumbh Mela heralds the continuity of our civilization, right? It's an emotion. It's an expression of Sanatan Dharma. It's almost an embodiment of its eternal nature. We know its origins are lost in the hoary mists of time. No one quite knows when it began, but it has embedded itself in, Bharat's collective consciousness and racial memory, so that it hardly matters if one were to actually affix a date to it. It exists. It's always existed. And it's the ultimate expression of Sanatan Dharma on the mortal plane. So, if you've been blue-pilled into associating Sanatan with caste as the primary focal point, then visit the Kumbh, because millions of Sanatanis jostling shoulder to shoulder without any differentiation or animus, having a snan together, will ensure that you never see caste as the bedrock of Sanatan.
Point you should make, but permit me to interrupt you for a moment. Two very powerful images on your television screens right now. One side, you have Prime Minister Narendra Modi taking a holy dip at the Trivedi Sangam. On the other side, you see Delhi's former Chief Minister and the Aam Aadmi Party convener, Arvind Kejriwal. He's going to cast his ballot. taking his mother and father with him, taking his children with him. He's pushing his mother's wheelchair, his son pushing the father's wheelchair, wife accompanying him. A very, very strong, significant statement being made by Delhi's former Chief Minister, Arvind Kejriwal, the Aam Aadmi Party convener, taking his parents and family as he goes to cast his ballot or their ballot in a very, very crucial election in New Delhi. It's a tri-cornered contest there with the BJP and the Congress party. It's being seen as a very tough fight with this tri-cornered contest, but Arvind Kejriwal is seen as someone who's fighting with his back to the wall in a very crucial election, but he continues to do so as we look at these images of his entire family going out to vote. 70 seats. The Aam Aadmi Party in the past two elections has, three elections in fact, has done spectacularly well. 67 and then 62. But what will this situation be on the 8th of February is that big question as Arvind Kejriwal's and his family, they go to vote. So that's one image on your television screen. The other image is Prime Minister Narendra Modi praying at the Trivedi Sangam. He will be meeting the saints and seers in a while from now. So 13 Akhadas, there are 7 Shaiv Akhadas, there are 3 Bairagi or Vaishnav Akhadas, then there are the Udasin Akhadas and the Nirmal Akhada. This also, Dr. Arun Krishnan, if I could bring you in once again, shows not just the strength of the Sanatan Dharma together, but also Hindus and Sikhs. They pray together, worship together, and bathe or take a holy dip in Ma Ganga together. It shows the bond between Hindus and Sikhs that several have tried to break now for over a century.
I don't think Hindus ever have considered Sikhs as different from them, right? We've had this long tradition of Hindu families, making their first sons as Sikhs. So I don't think Hindus particularly have any issue going into a Gurdwara and praying there. We consider the gurus as our own gurus. So I don't see. I'm frankly not surprised that this is happening because it is a celebration of Sanatan Dharma. And Sanatan Dharma is broad enough that it encompasses pretty much everybody. And as I was saying, right, if you have been black-pilled into becoming dejected, that Sanatan is on the wane, then you must visit the Kumbh because you will find people of all ages and particularly be amazed by the number of young who have turned up for a once in several generations opportunity. And if you want to be white-pilled about why Bharat remains an enduring entity, then visit the Kumbh. Again, you will see people from Kashmir to Kanyakumari and Kamakhya to Kutch, all reverently bowing their heads and dipping into the forgiving waters of the Sangam, of Ma Ganga, Ma Yamuna, Ma Saraswati.
You're absolutely right. And I've been privileged to see this. I've seen people from Jammu and Kashmir and I've seen people from Tamil Nadu and Kerala. I've seen people from Arunachal Pradesh and Nagaland. And I've seen people from Gujarat and in large numbers taking a dip at the Sangam and all along the Ghats when I was there before the Moni Amavasya Snan till after the Basant Panchami Snan. You're absolutely right. This is the melting pot of the Sanatan Dharma. But Shiv Kumar GVG, on the Prime Minister's interaction with the saints and seers on the Acharya Mahamandaleshwars, will this be a one-way message? Okay, and as we look at these images after his holy dip, the Prime Minister is now coming out. He's changed his clothes after that dip in the Sangam. There are many changing rooms on the floating jetty that's been formed that's been set up at the Trivedi Sangam. And these are multiple floating jetties all across the Sangam area. Many changing rooms there. Now the Prime Minister is back at the Arail Ghat where you see his vehicle. And from here, he'll be going to interact with the saints and seers. I want to bring in Samarth Srivastav into this conversation. Samarth, the saints and seers, they've stayed back to interact with the Prime Minister. Some of them were expected to leave on the 4th, but they've decided they'll all stay back till the 7th because meeting the Prime Minister is extremely interesting. Do we have details of who are the saints, seers, the Acharya Mahamandaleshwars, the Mandaleshwars who are meeting him? Okay, perhaps there are jammers in that place and it will take us a moment to re-establish that connection with Samar Srivastav. So at the Arail Ghat, again, you have a large number of pilgrims and devotees who were taking a dip. The Prime Minister reached out, waved to them, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath with him, and now the Prime Minister goes for his meeting with the saints and seers. When he was there in December 2024, the Prime Minister had spoken of various projects worth 5,000 crore rupees, 167 projects that the Prime Minister had then dedicated to the nation. Samarth Srivastav now joins me for more on this. And Samarth, after a dip in the Ganga, the Prime Minister then interacts with the saints and seers, and the messaging becomes extremely crucial because this interaction, there are lakhs and lakhs of devotees linked to every akhada. 13 registered akhadas with the Akhada Parishad, but there are multiple other akhadas that may not be registered but have a huge following. The Nath Akhada, the Valmiki Akhada, the Kinnar Akhada, the Pari Akhada. The Prime Minister's interaction will be extremely interesting. The Achman of Ganga Jal that's happening right now. The images that we see on our television screen, Samarth.
Well, exactly, Gaurav. As we see the PM of India interacting with the saints, Acharya Mahamandeleshwar, the various Akhada heads out here, Akhada Parishad heads. So the interaction is very clear, and see, you can have a smile on the face of PM Modi when he'll be interacting with the Akhada Parishad, as he'll be asking about the phase, about the experience for the month now, because the time has come for the Sannyasi Akhadas, at least the 7 Sannyasi Akhadas, which will be leaving Maha Kumbh by 7th of February. So it will also be a gesture of gratefulness to the Prime Minister of India by the Akhadas. Also at a time when we saw the stampede happened on Moni Amavasya, these were the Akhadas who did not press on the situation that they have.
ओम चंद्रमा मनसो जात चक्षुः सूर्यो वाजायत श्रोत्राद्वायुश्च प्राणश्च मुखादग्निरजायत मन में बसा कर तेरी मूर्ति उतारू मैं मैया तेरी आरती मांगू तुझसे क्या मैं यही सोचूं मैया जिंदगी जब तेरे नाम कर दी अर्पण सब कुछ तेरा कुछ नहीं मेरा चिलता है तुझको मां संसार के मन में बसा कर तेरी मूर्ति उतारू मैं मैया तेरी आरती वेद तेरी महिमा गाए संत करे ध्यान नारद गुणगान करे चेड़ बीड़तान भक्त तेरे द्वार करते हैं पुकार हम सब तेरी माँ उतारे आरती मन में बसा कर तेरी मूर्ति उतारू मैं मैया तेरी आरती ओम मंगलम भगवान विष्णु मंगलम गरुड़ध्वज मंगलम पुंडरीकाक्ष मंगलाय तनो हरे मंगलम भगवान शंभु मंगलम वृषभध्वज मंगलम पार्वतीनाथ मंगलाय तनो हरः ओम चंदनस्य महत्पुण्यं पवित्रं पापनाशनं आपदा हरते नित्यं लक्ष्मी तिष्ठति सर्वदा ओम अपवित्रः पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थांगतोऽपि वा यः स्मरेत् संकल्पः ओम गंगे च यमुने चैव गोदावरी सरस्वती नर्मदे सिंधु कावेरी जलेस्मिन् सन्निधिं कुरु ओम सुजात ज्योतिघासः सन्भवरूथम सदस्वाहा भासो अग्ने विश्वरूपगुं संव्ययस्व विभावसो वस्त्रोपवस्त्रं समर्पयामि ओम नाभ्यायासीदन्तरिक्षगुं शेष्णो द्यौः समवर्तत पद्भ्यां भूमर्देशः श्रोत्रान् तथा लोकान् कल्पयन् नैवेद्यं निवेदयामि द्रवदक्षिणां समर्पयामि ॐ चन्द्रमा मनसो जातचक्षुः सूर्यो वजायत श्रोत्राद्वायुश्च प्राणश्च मुखादग्निरजायत मन में बसा कर तेरी मूर्ति उतारू मैं मैया तेरी आरती मांगू तुझसे क्या मैं यही सोचूं मैया जिंदगी जब तेरे नाम कर दी अर्पण सब कुछ तेरा कुछ नहीं मेरा.
So the Prime Minister there performs the Ganga Arati, and after that is going to interact with saints and seers. It's a very significant message about cleaning of rivers. This is all about India's civilizational, Bharat's civilization. It's all about being near our rivers, and all our prayers, Shiv Kumar ji, are about our civilization close to our rivers from Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Krishna, Godavari, Kaveri, Sindhu. It starts with Sindhu all the way down to Kaveri. We are a country that's blessed to be living close to our civilizational rivers.
Absolutely, absolutely. As I said earlier, there is no Purana, there is no text, there is no community text, there is no informal text, there is no practice that is not associated with a river in India. And the civilization knows how important the flow of the river is. The flow of the river is Rita for India, and Rita is the most important civilizational concept from which all other civilizational dimensions have emerged. One who sees Rita is Rishi. So the Nadi is that representative of Rita, and its seamless flow, pure flow, clean flow is important not just for the material dimension of the civilization, but for the spiritual growth of every individual. I would also like to draw attention to how Mahabharata praises river Saraswati itself, which is Guptagamini in this place where Balarama goes on a Tirtha Yatra on the banks of river Saraswati, where 25 different Tirtha Kshetras are described. Finally, when Balarama is leaving, it is described like this by Vyasa,
Yes.
that Balarama keeps on looking back at the river Saraswati and tells himself that the beauty of the river Saraswati is such. Anybody who has lived on its bank, whether it is in Ihaloka or in Paraloka, one will never be able to forget it and will constantly look forward to come back to river Saraswati. This kind of an affinity and love and devotion and respect towards river, you can see in every single town, whether it is Adi Shankara in Kalati for Purnanadi, whether it is in the Tunga River, whether it is in the rivers, Narmada River, every kshetra, every river basin has evolved itself a Purana around the rivers. And this consciousness definitely needs to be brought back. And all important satras have happened on the banks of river.
Oh, absolutely. And Dr. Arun Krishnan, before I bring in, my colleague Samarth Srivastava once again about that conversation that will happen with the Acharya Mahamandaleshwars of the Akhadas, whether you look at the Kumbh Melas that are held, Ujjain, Shipra is the river, Nasik, Godavari is the river, Haridwar, again Ma Ganga, Prayagraj, the Triveni of Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati. So these rivers play a very significant role. And when they say about Amritva, the Amrit is the water of these rivers.
Exactly. Like Shiv Kumar said, the rivers have they're the foundation of our civilization, right? Our civilization grew up on the banks of Ma Saraswati, and we honor her racial memory in the form of Goddess Saraswati, right? She is the one who gives us, education and all the arts, and in a way that's a racial memory that we are honoring, because and I hate the use of the term mythical river Saraswati. There is no myth about it. Yes. It is not mythical. It's been clearly proven that there was a river Saraswati. As Shiv Kumar said, the Mahabharata has clear indications when Balarama goes on his pilgrimage that the river is drying up. The Rig Veda has it's called the best of mothers, the best of rivers, the best of goddesses. So we know for a fact that Saraswati used to flow. It was a mighty river. And I would like to point you to this excellent book by Dr. Michel Danino, The Lost River on the Trail of the Saraswati, where he's given tons of evidence from folklore, the Vedas, archaeology, local practices, history, geology, hydrology, meteorology, etc., showing that there was a cataclysmic, earthquake or something like that, where the river had changed. And so the rivers that fed the Saraswati got diverted into the Ganga and then also up into the Sindhu River. So the rivers, and we have the Nadi Sukta, Nadi Stuti Sukta from the Rig Veda, which clearly talks about the 7 great rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, and all of that. So rivers have played a critical role in Bharat's civilization, in Sanatan civilization, and it is only fit. And I was listening to your conversation earlier, where you were bemoaning the fact that Yamuna ji is so, we have spoiled it, and it's on us, and it's on us to clean them up and to revere them.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And perhaps, as we reconnect with our roots, that's the effort civilizationally. As we reconnect with our roots, we will understand the significance why this is so important for our civilization to continue and flourish. And Samarth, some of the saints and seers are talking about it in a very big way. The Acharya Mahamandaleshwars that the Prime Minister will be interacting with, the Shaiv Akhadas, the Bairagi Akhadas, the Udasin Akhadas, the Nirmal Akhada, all of them just show that collectively, they may have their differences in how they pray, who they pray to, where they stay, but civilizationally, everyone is coming together in this melting pot called the Prayagraj Maha Kumbh as they now move to Kashi.
Well, exactly, Gaurav. We see, as I said, the beliefs could have been different. Their Ishtadev could have been different. But at one point, at the point of Sanatan Dharma, all Akhadas, all Mahamandaleshwar, all Acharya Mahamandaleshwar come together on one platform, and that is Purna Maha Kumbh, which is happening in Prayagraj, and that's why all are together. They don't have any difference. Even if they have forgotten everything for this mega Mahotsav, for this mega Mela of Maha Kumbh that's happening after 144 years, once in a lifetime of every human being, whether he is a common man, whether he is a doctor, physician, or a saint. They don't know this particular thing. And at a time when at this particular event, when Prime Minister of India comes and they get the chance to interact with him, and even Prime Minister gets a chance to interact with the Acharya Mahamandaleshwars, the protectors of Sanatan Dharma, it's a feeling, it's the sacred feeling from both the ends. As for PM, it's because he's looking into the politics, defense, everything. He's controlling the entire nation.
Yes.
And then he gets a space to take the holy dip in Triveni and gets a chance to interact with the Acharya Mahamandaleshwar. While on the other hand, Acharya Mahamandaleshwar had got the chance to interact with the Prime Minister of India. Back to you.
It's interesting how they say that this water rejuvenates you. Nandita Pandeyji, it's said it's the planets, it's the stars, and you were just mentioning a short while back how Brihaspati or Jupiter, how that moves into Taurus when we talk about Prayagraj, and the way, the energy that's created, and several Mahamandaleshwars we spoke to, they said that energy is transferred to your body when you take that holy dip. The Prime Minister rejuvenated the various saints and seers who've taken a dip over the 3 Amrit Snans. They stand rejuvenated. The effort now, as one of the Mahamandaleshwars was telling me, is to spread Sanatan through scientific knowledge. That is the change that we see. It's through science that they're rediscovering their past. And perhaps that's a very significant message.
Yes, and this is beautifully explained by you. When we talk about our seers and saints, and in the ancient times, they were just not saints, they were scientists. We would call Bhugol. Bhu means bhuvi and gol means round. So we were calling Bhugol, the earth, as Bhugol, way back somewhere around 5000 BC, and Rig Veda also it is mentioned like Bhugol. So you look at the amount of scientific knowledge they had. Even now, when the water is considered, the whole process of the royal bathing, the Amrit Snan, is the first step that is taken, the first dip that is taken by is the Naga sadhus and the Mahamandaleshwars and their Akhadas, and then the general public. Why is general public in the last of the line? Is because the water gets purified by the divine energy that these sadhus have in them. Now, there is a, like you said, scientific. I would want to mention Dr. Imomoto. He was a Japanese scientist, and he did the specific experiment on water. So he kept certain bottles of water, and on each bottle he wrote a certain name. Like he wrote a word where he wrote love, he wrote hatred, he wrote jealousy, he wrote peace, and he no, to a bottle with the word mentioned love, he would just send a lot of loving energies. To the bottle where it was mentioned hatred, he would send a lot of hatred energy. And just 1 week. In that 1 week, then he took the droplets of the water, and under the microscope, he saw the crystals. The bottles which had love, peace, and happiness written on them had beautiful crystals. But the ones which had hatred and jealousy and anger in them were broken crystals. They were not broken, they were broken diagrams. So this specifically actually signifies how water imbibes the thoughts and the process and the energy. This is a confluence of three powerful rivers, and then the sadhus and the sannyasis and the ascetics are taking a dip in it, who have probably the entire year and for 12 years they've meditated and they've accumulated that power. They're the powerhouse of this divine energy inputs. And when they take that dip, it gets amplified by this divine energy. Similarly, all the disciples and all the public who are also coming around, they're also coming with the entire devotion. So their thought, their mantras, everything is kind of creating that vibrancy in that energy. It is getting amplified by the thoughts and the prayers
rejuvenating the Sanatan, the effort to bring in the younger generation, bring in the newer generation. And Anand Nilkantanji, when I was interacting and just watching at times the different akhadas there was so much curiosity to know where the Naga sadhus come from, how they train, how they go back, whether it's to the Aranya or the forest or to the Giris, to the mountains. I think the new generation wants to know more about, one, the Sanatan Dharma, two, what many people are only now once again relearning. The Akhadas played a very critical role in fighting invasions by the Afghans, in fighting the Mughals, including Aurangzeb, in fighting the British. Rani Lakshmi Bai went to the Akhadas right here in Prayagraj to fight the British, and the Naga sadhus did that.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go on, Anand Nilkantanji.
They have played a significant role in right from before, during the Mughal age, before that also, right from the Islamic invasion, then later during the British period, during the freedom struggle. And I think we are not being taught much about their role in the history books. But notwithstanding that, now I wish, this is my wish, that they start, they take the leadership now to clean up the rivers. It is not just the government can do this. The intentions have been good, but we are living in a, let us admit that we are living in a very filthy air and filthy water, irrespective of all the great projects with great intention, because the people are not changed. Just the government cannot change, the people are not changed.
Yes.
Perhaps it is time for the spiritual leadership to take the lead and ensure that when they are meeting the Prime Minister, ensure that on an emergency basis, the river, the air, the cities, all are remaining filthy even now, irrespective of our effect. We have all the slokas, we have all the philosophies that shows great reverence to the rivers, to the nature, everything. But in the last 100 years, we have messed everything up. Even now, despite spending so many crores and effort, still our rivers remain polluted, cities remain polluted. We have some of the greatest polluted air and water and land now.
Yes.
I think now we don't have any external enemies to fight, neither Mughals nor
British East India Company, it is Indian democracy, Indian people have chosen the government. Now the fight is against our own attitude on how the common people, all of us are treating the nature.
Very interesting point you raised there, Dr. Arun Krishnan. The significant role played by Akhadas, they are the protectors of the Sanatan Dharma, the Sanatan way of life, but not many of us know their critical role, and especially the Naga sadhus, the sacrifices they made, whether it's protecting the Gyanvapi or the effort they made to protect Gyanvapi, fighting Aurangzeb, fighting Mughals, Rani Lakshmi Bai approaching them to fight the British. And, one of the, at the Juna Akhada, I learned that more than 700 Naga sadhus had died fighting the British along with Rani Lakshmi Bai, because she sought their help in fighting the British as she moved from Kalpi, came to Prayagraj, sought their help in her last battle. They were right there with her.
Yes, Gaurav, and this is so typical of our education system, right? We haven't been taught a lot about our own heroes, and this is just another manifestation of the same disease, if I may call it. But one of the things that when I went to Kumbh about 2 weeks ago, I had the great opportunity to sit with a sadhu, and I don't know if you just grant me a brief 30 seconds. I just want to recount that experience. I've always considered myself as, I've been a scientist, a rationalist. The Overton window has shifted, right? Because maybe before 2010, I wouldn't even have thought of going to the Kumbh. But this time when I went there and we were going through the Akhadas, there was a particular sadhu who was sitting there. He had very sharp eyes. And for whatever reason, I felt this overpowering desire to go and sit and talk with him. So I went and sat. I said, this is how I've been. And he cut through all my faff and said, okay, what is it that your question actually is? And I said, well, we're taught that the Gita teaches us 3 different margs, right? Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga. I said, which is the best? He looks at me, this sharp-eyed, keen-eyed look, and he says, Seva marg. First do seva for your parents, then do it for your family, and then do it for your society. Now, my daughters were with me, and when we came out, and my younger one was saying, this man made more sense in 2 minutes than some of the greatest philosophers she might have read, right? Because it was just short, succinct, cutting to the root of the problem, and now I kind of understand why we Bharatiyas have always gone to these sadhus who might be ash smeared and ash covered, but there is something about them, there's something about what they have learned that it is very important for us to imbibe.
Yes, Samarth, that's the significant message that we saw all along. In our civilization, Samarth, when we hear about Raja Dashrath and Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram, Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram is an ideal son. And we learn that in our history all along, the saints, the seers, that's exactly what they teach at this place, and in so simply.
Well, exactly, Gaurav. As we know, the legacy of Raja Dashrath was carried forward by Lord Sri Ram, and what he did in Ayodhya, the Ram Rajya, which we still miss, which we still consider to be the best for India. The Ram Rajya, the definition of Ram Rajya was very well established by Lord Sri Ram, and that is why it becomes very, very important for us to understand about the legacy that Raja Dashrath or Raja Ram left behind, and that's what we should follow, because it is being said that everyone was happily living in the Ram Rajya that was in Ayodhya decades back. So yes, we do have to wait for that particular time. It also depends on the people we are in, because this is also that was Satyug, and this is also Kalyug. So that's a major difference as well. But if you talk about the current situation of rivers, as we were just speaking about the cleanliness efforts are being made by the government, be it in center or in the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also having a deep interest about the cleanliness drive in the rivers, especially in Ganga, and that's why it becomes very, very important for us as a citizen to take care of these things, not to pollute the river by throwing waste in it, be it Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati. So that's the thing, that's a sense we must have. But you see, with PM Modi coming here, it's a message politically as well, because we know there's voting happening in Milkipur, also in Delhi. So PM's attachment to Uttar Pradesh, especially to the religious places like Varanasi and Prayagraj, also leaves up a vibration, an impact to the voters as well. So if you see politically, so that could also be a boost for BJP about this particular PM visit on the day when voting is on in Delhi and Ayodhya as well. Back to you.
And the ideal son, Dr. Arun Krishnan was talking about the message of Kumbh that he carried. The sadhus were telling him that look after parents. That's the most important message that comes out. And Shiv Kumar ji, that is exactly what our history, our culture, our civilization teaches us. To be an ideal son is to be like Shravan Kumar or be like Raja Ram.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, this emphasis is through and through in all our texts. And, I would like to draw attention to one more story in Mahabharata, where a Brahmana, Kaushika, leaves his parents to go for a deep penance. And finally, he is guided to learn about Dharma from a Dharma Vyadha by a householder, Grihini. And then Dharma Vyadha teaches him Dharma. And finally, when Kaushika asks him, what is the source of your clarity? Then Dharmavyada says and takes him to his parents and says that I take care of my parents and I perform the seva of my parents and my fraternity. And it is through that I have developed this clarity. And that really raises his consciousness. And then he decides to go back to his house. So this taking care of the parents, ensuring all seva has to start bottom up. And if we have taken care of our immediate contexts, only then we will earn the ability that tapasya is required for us to be able to perform a yajna at a national or a civilizational level. If we have not performed tapasya at a local level, then we don't earn the spiritual right to be able to do anything significant in a bigger context. So Purana after Purana, story after story, has emphasized this in Sanatana Dharma.
And as we look at these images, the Prime Minister waving to the devotees who are there, waiting to take a dip at the Trivedi, and Panchkosi Trivedi, as the sadhus and saints there are saying that it's not just restricted to that exact point of confluence of Ganga, Yamuna and Maha Saraswati, but all along that area during Maha Kumbh, 15 kilometers of ghats that's been created. It's equally auspicious to take a dip anywhere in that Sangam area. Post that tragedy that took place during Moni Amavasya, all the ghats are now being called Sangam 1, 2, 3, 4. They are being numbered as such and not just head to the Trivedi nose. This perhaps should have been done much earlier. Crowd control. You live and learn. It needs to be done better each time. Even now, there are two more snans, important snans that remain. Samarth, one is the Magh Purnima snan on the 12th of February and then the Mahashivratri snan on the 26th of February. And that's where the largest crowds of devotees are expected now, Samarth.
Well, exactly, Gaurav. There might be the end of the Amrit Snans in the form of Makar Sankranti, Moni Amavasya, and the recently concluded Basant Panchami. But the Maghi Purnima on 12th and 26th Mahashivratri are also the major Snans. Though the Akhadas will be moving to Kashi, but a lot of saints will still be there because only the sannyasi Akhadas will be moving to Kashi for the Mahashivratri and Masana Holi, but not all Akhadas. So it's worth mentioning that the Maghi Purnima Snan will also see a lot of footfall. And also and also about the Mahashivratri and also about the Maghi Purnima. So that's why we can expect that the footfall would increase this time, because we see in the first three snans, many families were planning that we must plan a visit to Maha Kumbh after the three snans, because they were expecting a higher footfall, a stampede-like situation, what actually happened in Moni Amavasya. So that's why many families avoid touring to Maha Kumbh, to Prayagraj, due to these reasons. And now that's why these families are coming in large numbers to ensure that they take a holy dip. If you see the visuals out here, you just get to understand about the numbers around the Sangam area, about the area which leads to Letewe Hanumanji temple. You see a lot of families with their carry bags, with their trolleys, with their bottles, they've got the Sangam water in it. So they are moving in large numbers all across this particular area. This is the area, the adjoining road, which connects to the Sangam Marg and also to the Letewe Hanumanji. So you cannot say that three Amrit Snans have gone so that people or devotees won't come here. The picture is quite different. We were reporting on Basant Panchami, and the pictures on Basant Panchami were quite different. As you see, this is one temple where a lot of devotees come, this Shiv temple, and this particular road leads to Letewe Hanumanji, while the other adjoining road moves to the Sangam area. So we saw on the day of Basant Panchami, the number of devotees were quite less as compared to the earlier snans, maybe due to the stampede or due to the time they were planning to move after the three Amrit snans. But now the situation is changed. The number of devotees have increased, and that is why you see scores of devotees rushing here, coming here to get the chance to take the holy dip. There are also many families who are not planning Saturday, Sundays, because they believe that on Saturday, Sunday there would be a lot larger footfall, and that's why they are planning their trips to Maha Kumbh on the day between Monday to Thursday. So that is why it becomes very, very important for them to come here, because nobody wants to miss this particular event, because this Maha Kumbh is Purna Maha Kumbh, which is happening after 144 long years, and that's why it becomes very, very crucial to make others and the devotees understand about the value, the power of spiritualism, which not just Indians but the Russians, Americans, and the people from Colombo are in a way awestruck seeing the spiritual power of India. And that's what we know about the India, the Hindustan, the Bharat. So that's why this Maha Kumbh is very important. Also, if you talk about the Akhada,
Significant point you make there, and I want to bring in Anand Neelkanthan into this conversation. Samarth, on that point that you've just made, and we saw this, Anand Neelkanthan ji, at the ISKCON camp. Russia and Ukraine are at war, but at the ISKCON camp, Russian and Ukrainian devotees of Lord Krishna, they're living together, praying together, worshipping together, taking a dip at the Trivedi together, and praying for peace in their respective countries. It's amazing how this country is actually uniting, or this culture is uniting even enemies across.
The message of Indian civilization has been always that even before, when there were a lot of kingdoms in India, they might be at war with each other, but the Kumbh Mela continued. Whether it was in Nasik, Haridwar, or Ujjain, or Prayag, the Kumbh Mela has continued without any issues, irrespective of the wars and political issues, because spirituality is beyond any political differences or war. So that has been the tradition. I think the same thing is getting repeated with Russian and Ukrainian devotees who have come for the Kumbh Mela. It doesn't matter what are the political strifes and wars happening. Once you come to Kumbh Mela, you understand that these things are irrelevant, and life is much beyond this. That itself is a message of Kumbh Mela, right? That is why it teaches humility, it teaches our place in the universe, it teaches how great, infinite, and how small we are, all at the same time.
Does this then send out that wider message even within a country? And I'll come to what foreigners were saying about the Kumbh Mela, the large number of foreigners that Samarth and I interacted with. But Nandita Pandeyji, within a country, those who seek to divide the Sanatan Dharma followers in various castes or creed or sect and seek to keep them divided, perhaps Kumbh sends out a completely different message of Sanatan Dharma followers to them.
Itself signifies Metaphorically, if I have to speak, the kumbh, the picture is about your physical self, and the water inside, or the nectar or elixir inside, is about our spiritual enlightenment. In Sanatan Dharma, I said, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. That means everyone, every sentient being is thought about as one and equal. There is no demarcation as such. And the Kumbh signifies that where caste, creed, anything is just like, there is no question about who is like a Brahmin or a Kshatriya or a Shudra or a Vaishya. They all come, they take that holy dip. They're all one and equal. There is a humbleness in the entire approach. The spiritual path it's all about attaining moksha or liberation or attaining a spiritual path. And the Akhadas or the ascetics there or the Naga sadhus, they also are significance of the kind of sacrifices they've made to reach that state. It's not easy being a Naga sadhu also. Like, there's a whole process of 12 years first when they are selected, they're recruited, then they are under observation, whether they are celibate or not, whether they are spiritual or not, whether they can really come up to that mark of being a warrior, or also simultaneously have that Vedic knowledge to defend the Sanatan Dharma. But then defending Sanatan Dharma doesn't mean only, fighting. It means protecting the philosophy of life, not letting anything that interference into my thing, your thing, or this thing or that thing, my dharma or your dharma. It is a universal dharma. The Sanatan Dharma is the way one lives or leads a life. And the beauty of this is the Kumbh Mela, where everyone comes, submerges into and takes this holy dip in the confluence of these three rivers here. It's a beautiful projection. And I think in India, it's high time the entire public or even the younger generation should actually essentially take a look into the spiritual significance of this Kumbh. It is not just religious sentiments. It's about the confluence of all and everyone together. When you all embark on a journey of spiritual enlightenment or inner enlightenment, forget about spiritual word as well. A lot of people might think about why spiritual is being used. It's about inner enlightenment and inner consciousness, when your own subconscious mind is equated with somebody else's subconscious mind. And here when we talk about Sanatan is about quantum physics. Again, when we were talking about science, because we all are energy, the thoughts are energy. We were all born as a human being first. It was never like, it is the society or the environmental projections that makes us decide which dharma and all. But Sanatan Dharma is so beautiful. It's like, you believe in one God, you're still a Sanatani. You don't believe in God, you are still a Sanatani. You want to question about the existence of God, you're still a Sanatani. You
But
want to
there is
pray
a
to
change. But there is a change that is coming. Shiv Kumarji, now there is no running down religion. That is one thing which is becoming very, very clear. There appears to be a new consciousness that's rising. That an effort was initially made that you run down the Sanatan Dharma followers. Everything to do with Sanatan Dharma was described as bad. Only then you would be seen as modern or progressive. That change is now coming in our society.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think rightly pointed out by you, Gauravji. I think the critical transformation that has happened in the recent years is that we have reclaimed the centrality of the sacred and the position of the religion, the Hindu religion, in pursuing the sacred journey and its critical importance in every aspect of life, including the material. So I think the Purushartha consciousness is evolving, that Artha and Kama alone cannot bring the kind of well-being, the kind of happiness, harmony, and even health that we need in our lives and in the society. We've stopped looking at life from the limited lens of Artha and Kama, because we have realized that it is a conflict-ridden universe. This conflict
and ultimate
requires
aim remains moksha, or a salvation from the cycle of birth and death, but after doing good work, good for family, good for self, and good for society. To all my guests, many thanks for joining me on this very enlightening discussion on the Maha Kumbh. I need to slip into a quick break here. When we come back on the other side, it's the Maha Kumbh of democracy. It's the festival of democracy that we celebrate. We talk about voting that's happening in Delhi, and it's actually picked up pace in a very big way in several seats, several constituencies. Details coming up. Stay with us.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Hey Google, how do I do a wing liner? AI Re. Flip the script with the new Motorola Razr 50 series.
Hello, Moto.
They decode the complex, making sense of the battle for power. They stand for trust, built over decades, earned with every analysis, every trend. They question.
सारी दिल्ली को शराबी बना दिया.
They challenge.
अभी जो सरकार आई हुई है, लोग बाग खाने के भी लाले पड़े हुए हैं.
They report to empower your choice.
We don't want LG taking our decisions. We don't have that kind of access to him.
They are your eyes on the ground, always there, where every vote matters. They are the election dream team.
मतदान महान दान है. मतदान प्रजातंत्र की ऑक्सीजन है. प्रजातंत्र का आधार मतदान है. मतदान सब अधिकारों की जननी है. इससे सर्वोपरि कोई अधिकार नहीं है. प्रजातंत्र का महत्व तब है जब हर व्यक्ति अपना मतदान विवेकपूर्ण तरीके से, स्वतंत्रता से और देश के लिए करे.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@artha.com. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@artha.com.
दिल्ली की जनता को क्या कहेंगे?
बस दिल्ली को कहेंगे कि आज दिल्ली को बचा लीजिए. दिल्ली को झूठ, लूट, प्रपंच, छल, भ्रांति, भ्रम ऐसा करने वालों से बचा लीजिए. 5 साल के लिए आप मोदी जी के डबल इंजन के साथ एक बार दिल्ली को अपने बच्चों के भविष्य के लिए, अपने भविष्य के लिए, आने वाली दिल्ली के लिए